ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Thursday, June 6th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for being a part of today's program. We're going to get your text in this hour. 304-396-TALK. That's our text line. 304-396-8255. We've got reaction from last night's Coldcats loss. The Coldcats now 0-2, losing yesterday 8-4 at Jack Cook Field. They've got the night off, and then they'll be back in action on the road. So we'll hear from the manager, Tommy Gregg, in a few minutes. Also, we've got a lot to get into today. The bowl schedule's out. That's always fun to go over the bowls, look at the schedule of games. Of course, that includes, the college football playoff. That is a big deal, and that's changed the schedule up a little bit. The playoff begins December 31st, and then January 1st. We've got, of course, the games on January 9th, 10th, and then the 20th. We've got a busy bowl schedule. There are actually games in between. They're going to have several games in between. You're going to have the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl in there. You're going to have the First Responders Bowl there. The Duke's Mayo Bowl is there. One of my favorites, the Bahamas Bowl, is there. You're also going to have, beforehand, you're going to have a couple of games on New Year's Eve, including the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. That is a combination that I never thought I would need, a Cheez-It and a citrus. So the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl will kick things off on the 31st, along with the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl and I can't believe we keep changing these names. We've got the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl on the 30th. That caught my eye. The ReliQuest Bowl on the 31st. We're going to go over all of these. We'll talk about when these games are. And, of course, the reason we're bringing up bowl seasons is because the Sun Belt Bowl schedule is out as well. And so these are going to be note to you because we don't know if the league can do what it did last season. The league had 12 bowl appearances last season. That was a standout postseason for the Sun Belt. Went 5-7. Could have done better. 5-7, but still had 12 bowl games. That says a lot for the league. I don't think that's going to be the norm, though. I don't think you're going to get 12 teams. You might. But, of course, you've got the 5 games, the Sun Belt games, and the conference has been guaranteed a minimum of 5 games. So you have the game in Alabama, the Camella Bowl. That's on December 14th. That's going to be on ESPN. And then you got the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. That's going to be on December 19th on ESPN2. That's from the Superdome in New Orleans. The Staff DNA Cure Bowl, that's going to be on December 20th. That's a noon game. That's going to be on ESPN at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. So a bright and sunny day there, we hope, for a bowl game. Myrtle Beach Bowl will be on December 23rd, 10 a.m., That's going to be at Coastal Carolina's Brooks Stadium in Conway, South Carolina. And then, of course, you've got the 68 Ventures Bowl. That's going to be 8 o'clock on the day after Christmas at South Alabama's Hancock Whitney Stadium in Alabama. So you have 2 appearances possibly to bid for in Alabama. You have a game in South Carolina, you have a game in Florida, and you have the game in New Orleans. Which one of these games is the premier Sun Belt game? And there are some backup agreements. You've got the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, and you have, of course, access to the expanded 12-team college football playoff. So Marshall has an opportunity. If Marshall wins the entire schedule, goes undefeated, and wins the conference championship, Marshall could be in the conversation for one of those spots. We'll bypass all of this noise. That's kind of the goal. Of course, I think Christian Spears said that the Marshall would be the first Sun Belt team to make the playoff. I think that was a promise he made. So we're going to hold him to that, obviously. He said it, so we'll hold him to that Marshall's going to be the first Sun Belt team to make the playoff. And if it happens, it will be an exciting opportunity for Marshall fans to, of course, be a part of this historic first step towards what should be the norm in college athletics. We should have the playoff. Finally, at 12 teams. I would like it to be 16, but there are some that say that if you keep it at 12, it still makes the regular season meaningful, and you don't cheapen the regular season. And I would agree with that to a degree, but we're not taking all the conference champions. I'd like to see a system where you took all the conference champions and then you could have maybe an at-large or two there. That might be fair, but as it stands right now, you got to have the four, we call them group of four now, schools. You got to have that. So you're going to have the representation from those leagues, and of course you'll have a representative from one of the group of five, we want to call it that. And if it's the Sun Belt, hopefully it's Marshall. So we'll go over some of those games later on the bowl season, which one stands out to you, which one would you like to see the Thundering Herd in if Marshall does not make the playoff. And obviously, that's the goal for every college football team, to make the playoff. But there are several bowls in the portfolio. And then will there be some trading? This will be a better matchup for this game. Sun Belt's got more than 5 teams eligible. Let's trade around a little bit. Let's see which game makes sense. And so tie-ins do matter. It gives the league at least 5 minimum opportunities to put teams in postseason. But if we have a situation where there are not enough bowl-eligible teams, then you're going to have some 5 and 7 teams get bids. And if there's not enough eligible teams from other leagues, then you're going to have some opportunity. If Marshall is among those teams that are eligible in the Sun Belt, that could change the bowl it's possibly destined to be, because it could be Marshall in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. It could be Marshall in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. For some reason, that was an attractive bowl game for Herd fans. They liked the trip. They liked to travel. And 10 a.m. on December 23rd, is that an attractive option? So which game is an attractive option? If you're a Herd fan, you want to travel, which game would you like to see the Herd make and travel to as a fan? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I would say if you're looking at maybe importance, I don't know if one carries more than the other, but if you are looking at importance, 4 of the 5 are going to be on ESPN. The other one's going to be on ESPN2. So ESPN is going to be your provider. So you're on ESPN and a family of ESPN stations. So that doesn't really narrow it down a little bit. It just comes down to the date and the location. Would you like to see the Herd play on December 20th at noon on ESPN in Florida? Would you like to see the Herd maybe make its way down to Mobile, Alabama? I think location-wise, you could probably make an argument once again for the Myrtle Beach Bowl. You could probably make an argument for the Staff DNA Cure Bowl. That's in Orlando. You could definitely make an argument for the R+L Carriers New Orleans Bowl and the Superdome. That's definitely one of the games that you can seriously make an argument for as being, hey, that might be the game we want to go to. Doesn't matter the matchup. It's more the destination, because do you want to hang out in Montgomery, Alabama for the Camellia Bowl? How about Mobile? You want to hang out in Mobile for the 68 Ventures Bowl? Is that a bowl you want to hang out in? We'll get your choices on this. I think that's a fair question. Where do you want to see the Herd go? If Marshall can't make the playoff, what's the next best option for you? What's the bowl game you want to see the Marshall faithful get an opportunity to travel to? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line this hour. We'll get into a little bit of the Conference Cup standings that came out today. So Texas State wins the Vic Bubas Cup for the second time in 3 years, third time in the program's history, and Marshall finished tied fifth with Louisiana. Texas State had 130.5 points in the standings. Marshall had 117. Okay, fifth, tied for fifth. That's not a bad showing. That's not terrible. It could have been really terrible. You could have been 13th, 14th, 12th, 13th, 14th. You could have been really low. And so I think fifth is a solid representation of what the program's, not just football, because this is not football only. This is all the programs. And there's a couple of sports that Marshall doesn't sponsor just yet that is getting scored in the league. Like, for example, men's tennis, not sponsored by Marshall. It's sponsored in the league. There's also beach volleyball, not offered yet at Marshall, but it's a sport in the league. And, of course, remember Coach Huff even alluded to it, well, I think it was a year ago. Did we talk about this a year ago? It was a couple years ago where he joked and said, oh, apparently we're going to have beach volleyball now here at Marshall sometime in the future. And that's a sport that you get scored in on this thing. So and I know that this Commissioner's Cup, it's something that I think this athletic department would like to see Marshall win. It's something that illustrates what kind of program you have top to bottom. And I also think it keeps you honest a little bit as far as how you are taking care of your other sports. We'll go over that list, but when we continue, we'll start out with what happened last night with the Cold Cats. We'll hear from the manager, Tommy Gregg, and we'll get your text in this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hey, let's talk about your favorite day. You'd probably say Christmas Day or maybe New Year's Day. Well, I'm here to make a pitch for Monday. That's right, I said Monday at Roosters at Pullman Square in Huntington, because on Mondays at Roosters, you can get 79-cent boneless wings. Or maybe Tuesday, when you can get the $3 featured appetizer of the week and 99-cent kids meals. Actually, let's talk about Thursday with a late happy hour featuring $1 wings. Enjoy your favorite day or days with over 40 TVs. Roosters, Pullman Square in Huntington, a fun, casual joint.
Here's another Kidder Communications Community Chat. The Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association Chapter 12-8 is having their annual charity event June 8th at Smitty's Tavern in New Holland, Ohio. This is to support the Save a Warrior program. If you'd like to help, give them a call at 513-465-4038.
This Kidder Communications Community Chatter brought to you by KB Pest Control. They'll kill for your business.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-Day Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains from June 7th through the 10th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Thanks for being a part of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're going to take your text this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Last night, Cats game number 2 of its inaugural season, losing. So we're on a 2-game losing streak right now. No panic just yet, no panic. That's the thing I like about this league, though, and this team, is this is a developmental team. So it's going to be fun. You're going to try to play for a championship, obviously. You're going to try to play to win the league. But at the same time, this is going to be fun. You're wanting to see these young players develop, learn, get opportunities here, get better. And this isn't one of those leagues where I'm going to lose my mind if the team is maybe in the middle of the standings. I'm not going to lose interest. I'm going to hope that this team gets better and that toward the end of the season, even though standings matter and wins and losses matter, I don't think it's really prioritized as much as it would, say, be for if you were watching Marshall baseball in the Sun Belt Conference and you're hoping to get into the postseason, you're hoping to win a conference championship. This is going to be more developmental, and you're going to see, I hope, good quality baseball over the next couple of months. So that's my spiel on that. But at the same time, we do want to see the team win, and we want to see progress. And last night, again, the weather's kind of hampering things, I think, a little bit. But second time in a row, the Pulaski River Turtles had an early start, and they would get the win 8-4. The Cats would answer bottom of the third. There was a good performance. C.J. Richards scored on a fielder's choice. The third inning would mark the first of 3 straight innings that the Cats would actually score, as they scored 2 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and 1 in the fifth. The run in the fourth actually came after a walk and 3 wild pitches. The run in the fifth came off an RBI double from Ryan Limerick, as the Cats would trail 7-4 after 5 innings, but Pulaski did put it away. Interesting thing. We're 2 games in, but we're already keeping notes here. The Cats have not led in any game this season. Again, we're 2 games in. We'll see if that's going to be a trend. They have not led. They haven't won. They haven't led. So, that's an easy fact to pull out. They haven't won, and they haven't led. So we got 2 right there. And the RBI double in the fifth would be the last hit for the Cats until the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs when Trey Lawrence hit a single. 2 games in now. How's this team performing metric-wise? The wins aren't there yet. 2 games in. But what's the head coach, the manager himself, Tommy Gregg, what's he think about this team? He's got a couple of players that he's pretty happy with so far. And in general, he talked about Richards and Limerick as well, as he's trying to evaluate what the performance of this team is. Again, we're 2 games in. Here's Tommy Gregg.
First 2 games, we're still learning from these guys, but it was great because we pretty much got majority of our pitchers in that we wanted to see. Now we kind of have an idea where we need to fit them, also with the hitters, where we need to start putting them in the lineup to win some games. We kind of had to mix the lineup up to make sure we saw everybody and see what they could do, right? So tonight I just told them that we're trending in the positive direction. There was a lot of positives tonight, and we had a long season. So great bunch of guys. We're going to have a good season.
Yeah, he's taking it as it comes, because again, you're 2 games in, you just met these, and again, it's for everyone in the league. This isn't just a Marshall, a Cats issue here. You put this team together within a few weeks, it feels like, and they get on campus at Marshall and they start getting acclimated to everything. And of course, it's a new organization, and it's going to be a new organization every year as far as the players are concerned. So 2 games in, you kind of feel like, okay, you're starting to get a feel for what you've got on the field. Now, weather has been a factor these first couple of games. It hasn't been detrimental, I don't think. We had a shortened game the first night. Of course, weather being a factor the second night as well. And I'm not talking just game time. I'm talking about opportunities to get out there to practice. Has that really impacted what this team has been able to do over the first few days?
Today it did, but we were able to just get our work in the cage. Sometimes it's okay. It gives your legs a break anyway. Instead of being out here for a couple hours doing our work, we do early work, then we hit, so guys are on their feet a lot. So sometimes it's that break. And tomorrow will be a good off day for our pitchers and our players to kind of reset everything in their minds. And I told them, let's be road warriors.
Yeah, speaking of the road, this would be an opportunity for this team really to start bonding, because now you're going to be on the road. You're going to be with your teammates for the next few days. So it's an opportunity to get to know the people surrounding you a lot better. I mean, it's one thing if you're practicing, you're on the field with them, but once you leave. You might not hang out with all these guys. You don't know them just yet, so you probably haven't formed those bonds just yet. Now you're going to be on the road, team chemistry. You might gel a little bit more because you're going to be forced to get to know those guys that you're playing with a lot better. You're going to see a lot more of each other for the next few days. So going on the road, there is an opportunity to maybe focus a little bit more, to get yourself in a mindset that you can focus on base. I mean, because you're acclimating to everything. I mean, it happens. I'm sure the River Turtles, maybe they had the advantage being the team coming in because they had opportunity to lock in a little bit more. They're going on the road. Now, Coldcats have that same opportunity.
Sometimes you get more relaxed on the roads. It takes the pressure off, especially opening up and the new park. Guys are trying too hard for the crowd, and all that. So maybe we go on the road, relax a little bit more. They're having fun, but now that they've seen some pitching, they've gotten involved in the game, I'm expecting good things.
I think we're all expecting good things. And, of course, I mentioned earlier, when Tommy talked to the media last night, a couple of players that he brought up. Early on, I think we can see that there's an impact there with C.J. Richards and also Ryan Limerick. And Greg talked about some of his standout players and did mention those two.
Well, I said last night too, and tonight also, C.J. Richards is an exciting player when when he's putting the ball in play, makes things happen, like put pressure on the shortstop to make a good throw. He didn't because of his speed. And when he's on base, he's still on base. He puts pressure on the defense and the pitcher. Ryan had a great game. We hit a lot of balls hard. It seemed like we found more barrels. We were on time more, so guys are seeing the ball better at the plate. But we lined out 2 or 3 times too. Those are in the gap, and it's a whole different ballgame.
Couple other things that he focused on last night. First up is the ability and talent he's got out there. Outfielders are important, and he evaluated what his outfielders look like in these first 2 games.
Yeah, and they're still trying to get a feel for the park, like balls over their head, trying to find the wall and stuff like that. That's going to happen, but we're charging balls hard. Guys trying to score. We're throwing great throws to the plate. Our catcher's staying back and making tags. So, yeah, our outfield's got some speed, too. So, that's dangerous when you have speed. All 3 guys can run in the outfield. That's good.
And I've gotten an impression that he's an aggressive manager. And he talked a little bit more about that aggressiveness of his team, trying to put runners on base, try to put pressure on the opposition with that base running, with that aggressiveness. And he explained that a little bit more, what he's looking for.
Well, we want to put pressure on the pitcher. We want to put pressure on the catcher. If the catcher doesn't have a strong arm like we think, and the pitcher's slower to the plate, we're going. I've given all the guys green lights. I want them to be aggressive on the bases, like I said, putting pressure on the defense.
That's Tommy Gregg as we get to know him a little bit better. And, of course, the Coldcats baseball, all home games right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Last night, Bluefield, the Ridge Runners defeat Burlington. The Sock Puppets go down. Sock Puppets 2-0. See, these names, I'm getting used to these names. Kingsport, the Axemen defeat the Danville Otterbots 6-5. The Bristol State Liners defeat Johnson Central, the Doughboys, 10-3. And the Greenville Flyboys defeat the Elizabethton River Riders, 11-1. Back in action on Friday. Danville takes on Greenville. It'll be Johnson City taking on Burlington. Bluefield will have Pulaski. Bristol will face off against Elizabethton and Tri-State. The Coldcats are at the Kingsport Axemen. That is what's happening in the Appalachian League. When we continue, we'll open the text line up 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. How the Thundering Herd do overall, and the Sun Belt Conference Vic Bubas Cup standings. We'll talk about how the Herd got to the 5th spot, tied for 5th with Louisiana. Where could Marshall have performed better to maybe improve its standings in the Cup chase? We'll talk about that when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Giovanni's Pizza. Fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Save big money on your next staining project at Menards. Give your deck a makeover with Ultra Advanced. It's a semi-transparent stain and sealant in one that can be applied to damp wood, allowing you to clean and stain your project in one day. This high-quality wood stain will safeguard and enhance the natural beauty of exterior wood surfaces. Check out all our staining options and see the rest of our deals on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Get in the groove. Downtown Huntington's premier weekly music event is back. It's Mount West 9th Street Live, presented by New Trail, Garage Beer, Big Truck, The Beast, La Marca Prosecco, and Matua Sauvignon Blanc. This Friday, it's Nolan Collins and Kegan McLean and the Raccoon Wranglers on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Mark your calendar for June 21st for a ticket to ride to 9th Street Live, a celebration of the Beatles with the Newbies. Friday, August 2nd, 9th Street is Dead, featuring John Ingram's Dead Center and the music of the Grateful Dead. The Thundering Herd Rally is Friday, August 16th. 9th Street Live is driven by Yes Chevy, Yes Ford every Friday night through Labor Day. 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Marshall OBGYN, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, City of Huntington, Marshall University, Impact Media, Xfinity, and Kendrick Communications.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue on with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Paul Swann, your host, back in the producer's booth. Ben Anderson. We'll get your text in this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So the league released today the final standings for the Vic Bubas Cup, and for the second time in 3 years and third all-time, Texas State can claim the Commissioner's Cup. Now, what's the Commissioner's Cup? This is basically the trophy that's awarded to the athletic program that is the overall best athletic program for the year. Based on standings, you get certain points depending on what sport you're in, how many teams are participating in your sport. So, for example, women's swimming and diving finished second, but 3 points. Okay, so there's not that many teams in there. So 3 points, that's not bad. You'll take that. I mean, every point counts for something. But if you want to look at where Marshall finished in the standings, finished 5th, tied with Louisiana. And so football's the big one. So we start there. Football have 4.5 points. Tied 6th with Louisiana, Georgia Southern, Georgia State. So not many points coming from football this season. Men's basketball tied 7th with Texas State, so 4.5 points. Not much there as well. But women's cross country finished 3rd, so you get 11 points out of that. Men's cross country, 6th out of 9th, you got 4 points out of that. Women's soccer, 8th out of 14, you got 3 points for that. And so that's why you're seeing a little bit more of a concerted effort to bring up the Olympic sports as well, because I truly believe that this athletic department wants this cup. They want this cup. They do. They want to win this thing. And so this is an indicator of how Marshall fares in the league compared to the rest of the league. And so overall, the athletic department, pretty healthy, finishing 5th, tied with Louisiana. But there are some sports that are holding Marshall back. There are some sports that are elevating Marshall. Volleyball, 3.5 points, tied 7th of 14. Women's swimming and diving, as I mentioned, 3 points, but 2nd in the league. Indoor track and field, 10 points. And that's women's indoor track and field. Let me qualify that. 4th out of 13. So you got a nice boost there from the indoor track and field program. Men's indoor track and field, dead last, 7th in the league, so 1 point. But again, this is a new program. You're trying to build the indoor track and field program for men and women. You're trying to build the overall track program. So, that's a result that you hope that continues to get better. Women's basketball won the league, then won the conference tournament. So total of 15 points. Marshall hit the jackpot there. Got 15 points off of women's basketball. Women's golf, 7 points. 7 points total, 7 of 13. It was men's golf that was tied, 3rd of 14. And the league is pretty good, I think, in golf. So 11.5 points for men's golf. And we know that the men's program is a little stronger right now than the women's program. And hopefully that will change, because I know they're trying to work and make sure that golf isn't left out, and when it comes to improving the experience, improving facilities and opportunities. So these are things that you hope gets better. Softball tied 6th of 12, 3.5 points. Women's outdoor track and field, 5th out of 13, 9 points. Men's outdoor track and field, dead last, 1 point. And then baseball, 10th out of 14, so you got 2 points out of that. And so that's the scoring here for the Conference Cup. Football, of course, for a lot of people is the only sport that matters. And I have seen on many social media posts where there have been Herd fans that have been angry that if something else takes away from football, just have football be good, and basketball and everything else can be everything else. Just have football be, and that's not going to fly, at least with this athletic department. So you're going to see, hopefully, more attention paid to more of these programs. Where could Marshall improve? Well, first of all, Marshall definitely can improve with football. Football is the flagship sport at Marshall University, so it needs to improve. Didn't finish well in the conference standings, so it didn't score well. Men's basketball, and you got a new coach, Cornelius Jackson, so you're hoping that men's basketball picks up, but didn't fare well, and so scored pretty low. The other sports that you've seen maybe more of a push to try to improve, track and field, one of them. And you bring in a director of operations to oversee the program, and you're seeing some good results, and you're hoping that that continues. So I'm not concerned about that right now, because there recently a change in that department. You're adding to track and field, so you're trying to pick that up. And you hope that everything starts to fall in place for the women's volleyball team, for Ari Agnes and her squad, because as a coach, I think she's one of the coaches that gets it and does it right and offers an excellent experience for her student athletes. And her program, I think, is an example because they're everywhere. When they're not competing, they're everywhere. They're involved with the community. They're involved with other programs. They're supportive. Every time there's been a coaching change, the volleyball team has been forefront of the people showing up to support the new team coach. Women's basketball, new coach. Hey, volleyball's there. Women's basketball game. Hey, the volleyball team's there, and they're loud. You know when the volleyball team's there. So I know they didn't finish as well as they would have liked to have, but you highlight them and hope that, okay, maybe volleyball can do better and start picking it up for the herd a little bit more. Not concerned about swimming and diving and those sports. Again, you hope that things fall into place. Women's golf, could it be stronger? Yeah, obviously, and you're hoping that things that are coming for golf will improve what you have there. So I think baseball is going to be the big one. You spent a lot of money to finally make the dream come true of having a baseball park. You have a baseball park now, so you're hoping that baseball can get it going. Same way that the soccer stadium helped men's soccer. It's a signature sport now at Marshall University, men's soccer. And there was a coaching change on the women's side. Why? Because you want soccer to be a signature sport, and you want to see the same level of success or close to it in women's soccer than you see with the men right now. The men are going to be in the conversation for a championship, be it the league, be it the national championship. At this point, they are a player in soccer and NCAA. You're hoping that the women's program can be the same. But I think these sports sometimes get overlooked, maybe just because when you talk about Marshall sports, if it's not football, it's basketball. How would you rank them? I'm not talking about these standings, just in importance to you as a fan. Where would you rank these sports? And it's not to say that you can't enjoy them all. You can't enjoy going to all of these things, but at the end of the day, the standings are one thing, but if football's not healthy and nobody's having a good time, nobody's happy. And I think men's basketball, if men's basketball is not healthy and not winning, nobody's having a good time. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll go to our text line in just a moment. We've got, of course, NBA action coming up tonight. We'll get into that. Who do you like in that series? Texter wrote in and said, Paul, what's your prediction for the finals? I'm going to say the Mavs in 7. Boston's good. Boston's really good. But I'm not a Boston fan. I want to say Mavs in 6 maybe. But at the same time, Boston's really good. So Mavs in 7 is a strong prediction. Would you put money on that? Mavs in 7. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I think there might be a little too much rust there with the Celtics. It might go 7. We'll find out. That game's going to come up tonight on our sister station, 7:30 airtime, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. We got more coming up. This is The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Convenience and quality is just a click away at Food Fair. Never miss a sale with our weekly ad at foodfairmarkets.com. Ready to rack up rewards while you shop? Sign up for Food Fair's Cart Cash Rewards. Searching for that perfect recipe to spice up your dinner tonight? It's all at foodfairmarkets.com. Need a helping hand? Explore our pickup and delivery options at foodfairmarkets.com. Food Fair, delightfully local, conveniently fresh. Visit foodfairmarkets.com and reward yourself with quality and convenience.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Super 8 Motel with spacious rooms, spa, indoor pool, and free breakfast. Come visit in Gallipolis, Ohio. K&B Pest Control. They'll kill for your business. Black Sheep Harley-Davidson, 4th Avenue and 4th Street, downtown Huntington. Online at blacksheephd.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
Welcome back. It's the final segment of today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Game 1 NBA Finals starting tonight. We'll have the game and all the games on our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. Texter asked me who I think's going to win. And I said, I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be the Celtics. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not taking the Celtics. I'll go Mavs in 6 maybe, but it's got to start tonight, Game 1. You got to win Game 1, obviously. And metric-wise, it's the most important game because if you win Game 1, you've got over a 70% chance of winning the series. And the team that wins Game 1 at home wins the series almost 80% of the time. The team that wins Game 1 on the road wins the series 44.4% of the time. Believe it or not, 44% of the time. That has happened just 18 times. So it's important for the series. I'm taking the Mavs. Taking the Mavs tonight. Kyrie Irving. I would love to have him on my team. So with Luka and Kyrie, they are right now, I think they are gelling. They're gelling. They look good. They are in the playoffs, road warriors. I like the Mavericks in this series. I'm going to take the Mavericks. I would say 6, but I think 7. Even though the Celtics are the favorite team, I think that we've seen teams that have had the better records overall not live up. I think the Celtics, they're not the most dominant Boston Celtics team I've ever seen. They're also not the most dominant, best record team I've ever seen. They're good. I just think they're going to be in a fight. I like the Mavs in this one. Don't forget again, coming up tonight, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. Bowl season already underway because we're talking about bowl games. The schedule is out for games, and it looks like we have way too many bowls once again. That has not changed. Too many bowls once again. Everything gets underway December 14th with the Cricket Celebration Bowl. And then the Camellia Bowl, December 14th as well. That's going to be a game in which a lot of people are going to hope that isn't Marshall. And it's a game in which I don't want to see the herd in. Boca Raton Bowl. You want to go back to Boca? And I asked this earlier on a text line, which game would you like to go? If Marshall could not get into the playoff, let's just say if Marshall couldn't get into the playoff, which game would you like to see the herd go to? And your first choice selection could be the Camellia, the R&L Carriers Bowl, the Staff DNA Bowl, the Myrtle Beach Bowl, the 68 Ventures Bowl. So we'll open the text line up for that. Let's go back to the text line since we got a few folks texting in. Texter says, in my opinion of top 5 important programs at Marshall right now: football, men's basketball, men's soccer, softball, and women's basketball. That's a good list. I appreciate the text. I'm going to change it up a little bit on you. I'm going to flip softball and women's basketball. I'm going to flip those two. Because right now, football's 1 and men's basketball is 2. There's no argument there. Now, the real argument could be, because I'm going to put softball at 5, the real argument could be, is women's basketball more important right now than men's soccer? Is men's soccer more important than women's basketball? Now remember, you have a new coach in Julie Folks. She's taken over for Kim Caldwell. Kim Caldwell won the regular season title, won the league tournament title, went to the NCAA tournament. That hadn't happened in a long time. I was like in my second stint at Marshall University the last time that happened. It's been a while. And that could happen again. We'll see. Can Marshall capture lightning in a bottle twice with Coach Folks? You hope so. She's building a different program. I think they're going to be a more defensive team. I feel like they're going to be really good. She's going to be able to work the portal. I feel that she's going to be able to bring players in. She's got the experience, the camps. Her camps are well known. She's got a network. I feel like this is going to be a program that's going to have sustained success. Is it more important now than soccer? Soccer won a national championship. You can't argue with that. Soccer won a national championship. Which sport is more of a revenue sport? I don't have all the details there, but a lot of people are going to soccer games, and a lot of people all of a sudden are going to women's basketball games. So I think they're definitely in the top 5, but I'm going to put women's basketball ahead of softball right now. And that's just a level of importance. Where do we put baseball? Marshall has a new baseball park. Where do we put baseball as far as importance? Now, how do you define importance? I know there's going to be more emphasis on baseball now. There's going to be more energy directed towards baseball. You didn't spend all that money for a new facility just to watch the Thundering Herd be middle of the pack. Same thing with soccer. You didn't build the new soccer facility. I mean, part of that had to be because you were taking where the soccer field was and you're putting a new facility on that property. So you had to replace it. If you're going to do it, might as well do it right. And then you decided when it was time to make some changes to bring in a guy with a pedigree that had success and was able to elevate the Marshall soccer program to a national championship in Chris Grassi. And now you're trying to do that with the women's program. But a national championship's hard to argue with. Is men's soccer more important than football or men's basketball? Some of you might say yes on one of those, because when's the last time that Marshall football outside of bowl games really been relevant nationally? Are we talking about revenue? Obviously, it's going to be football and probably men's basketball. Are we talking about relevancy? Well, I think that soccer is going to be high, and you can throw the women's basketball program in there as well. But where does baseball factor in on that? Is baseball higher than softball? Importance-wise, that's going to be a fight. If I say yes, somebody's going to get mad. I say no, somebody's going to get mad, because those are important sports. Now, where does that put everything else? Yeah, outdoor track and field, those are all, again, these are all important sports for Marshall, but football, basketball are locked at 1 and 2. And for me, it used to be, I would have said maybe a few years ago, I would have said football 1, men's basketball 2, women's basketball 3. I would have said softball 4, and I definitely would have considered tennis. And I'm not basing this off of revenue. I'm just like successful program, competitive, always good for a run, maybe potential for some NCAA success. You have all of that for those programs. Now, football 1, basketball 2. Grassie's sitting there at 3 maybe? Is he too low on this list? Is women's basketball 4? Does soccer rank higher? And does softball still maintain a top 5 spot? And of course, this isn't, I mean, you can like them all. You don't have to say that, well, I don't like these sports, or these are the only sports I support. You can support them all. However, as far as importance is concerned, 1's always going to be football, because you change conferences for 1. You don't change conferences for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. But you change conferences. And, of course, we've seen a renewed interest in all of these sports and a renewed energy put into them. So there's some value there for all of these sports. But at the end of the day, when people talk about Marshall, they talk about football, they talk about basketball, and I think in season, they talk about soccer, they talk about softball. So I think that's a fair list. Maybe softball's 5, women's basketball, baseball maybe in there, tied for 5. I don't know. Back tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone.
Retransmitting on Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.